Hello everyone and welcome to Biology Made Easy. In this video I'm going to discuss about ecology. It's gonna be the first session speaking about this branch of biology. We'll be discussing about the difference between biotic and abiotic components of the environment and the levels of organization in an environment or in the environment. First of all, the first question we ask: if you are an ecologist and you were asked to study a certain land or a certain ecosystem, how would you divide this ecosystem and how can you study it? To answer first question, we need to ask about the components of the environment or that ecosystem. So what are the components of the environment? Anything that exists in the environment, it plays a role in that environment. And we divide it into two main groups. The groups that include all living organisms and the non-living organisms, the non-living things. So all living organisms might include plants, animals, all types of animals, insects, bacteria. Any living form of life is considered a living organism, and we refer to this group of living organisms as biotic factors. Biotic factors or biotic component of the environment. On the other hand, the non-living organisms might include anything which is non-living, including air, soil. Some of you might say, but soil might contain some biotic factors, but in general soil is non-living. Water, heat, sunlight, rocks. All of these components are called abiotic factors. So as a result, every environment, every ecosystem is made of biotic and abiotic factors together. And these two depend on each other, because living organisms cannot survive without air, cannot survive without water, plants cannot survive without soil, etc. Without heat, sunlight. So they depend on each other in order to form what we call the environment or the ecosystem. So by this we finished the first objective for this video, the difference between biotic and abiotic components of an environment or of the environment. So one more time, biotic factors are the living parts of an environment that includes any living organism within that environment. And the abiotic factor is everything but not the living organisms, including the air, the water, the soil, rocks, everything else. Let's move to the second objective, which is what are the levels of organization in the environment. So if we go back to the question we asked at the beginning of the video, if you were an ecologist and you were asked to organize or to study a certain ecosystem or environment, how would you divide it? And how would you organize your study? So first of all, you would divide it into biotic and abiotic factors. Second, you would put the environment into different levels, starting from the smallest unit, reaching the biggest part. What are the levels of the environment on Earth in general? The Earth is divided into 5 levels of organization. 5 levels of organization. These levels are: first of all, we start with the individual organism, one living organism. One living organism, it can be any living organism, a plant, animal, human, one organism only. And this is the smallest level in the living system in an ecosystem. The second level is population. Population, by definition, is a group of individuals that belong to the same species, same type. For example, here we have a crocodile, one individual crocodile. Many crocodiles living together in a certain environment will form a population. So again, population, we are speaking about only one type, one species of organisms. So this is the second level of organization. Moving to the third level, which is community. And still here we are speaking about only living components, only biotic factors. Community includes many species together. Species A, species B, C, D, etc. So community is many species interacting in an ecosystem or in an environment. So this is one organism, many organisms of the same type, same species, different species, and until this point we are talking about only living organisms. Only living organisms. Now, we move to the fourth level of organization. The fourth level of organization is called the ecosystem. Here, when we start describing everything in an area. So, the ecosystem includes not only the living organism, the ecosystem includes the biotic and the abiotic factors in an area. So it includes the living and the non-living part in a certain area. And we can now, instead of living, we can write the biotic and the abiotic factors and how they interact together. So this is the ecosystem. Going back to the picture, the ecosystem here is the land, the swamp or the lakes, is including the water, all the organisms that live in the water, in the air, in the land, all of them together in this small or particular area, we call it an ecosystem. So, for example, a park, a huge park, can form an ecosystem. Okay? Now, moving to the upper level, to the fifth level, the difference here, we are increasing our area, our scale. A biome is a huge area of land that has a particular climate, certain types of vegetation or plants and animals that live there. For example, a desert forms a biome, and there are several types of biomes based in their location in the earth. For example, if this area is located near the North Pole or South Pole, it's going to have a cold biome, cold climate. So biomes is a huge land that has a particular climate. It might have different ecosystems, but all of these ecosystems belong to the same climate, let's say same classification of plants and animals and temperature and rainfall, precipitation, etc. So we have several types of biomes, including a biome. Again, it's larger than the ecosystem. It can be, for example, a forest is a biome, a desert is a biome, a grassland, etc. We'll have a video about biomes later. Let's now continue speaking about the levels of organization. So again, we started with individual, the first level, population, the second level, community, the third level, ecosystem, fourth, fifth, biome, and the last level is biosphere. Biosphere is the whole biomes together. So we are speaking about the Earth. It's where life exists. This is the last level and the biggest level of organization in an environment. So to sum up, we divide the environment into 5 levels. We start with individual organism, one organism that lives in an area. Then population, group of individuals that belong to the same species, only dogs together, only humans together. Then many species living together in an area, we refer to them as community. And living organisms interacting with non-living organisms in an area form an ecosystem. So at this level we speak about living and non-living part. And huge ecosystems, huge area that includes many ecosystems that have common nature, that have common climate, we refer to it as a biome. And last, all the biomes on Earth form the biosphere. So this is level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, 5 and 6. These 3 levels, we are only talking about living organisms, living part. And here we speak about the living and the non-living. And the increase we are showing here is due to the increase in the size. We start with one single organism, we reach at the end the Earth, which is the biosphere. By that, we have finished our 2 objectives for this video. The first one, what do you mean by biotic and abiotic components in an environment? And the second one, the levels of organization in an environment. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.